1, 2, 3. Well, hello, beautiful besties. I am so excited to be back and in action. I'm really stoked about today's episode because you guys sent me voicemails. And I'm not even being dramatic. This is by far the coolest thing that I think I've ever done. Hearing your voices and hearing you guys talk to me has made me feel more human than I have in a while. I think with this job, talking to a camera gets very redundant and a little stale. It's hard to stay energized all the time and inspired when there's no one giving you feedback like a real person. It's one thing when you see all the comments, but this has really done something for my heart. I'm just super thankful to all of you that sent in voicemails. There were a lot. I'm gonna try to get through as many as possible without making this a super long video, but we're definitely gonna make this a series for sure. So let's get to it.
Hey Bria, so I just wanted to ask you how your health is, your PMDD and everything. I hope your mental health is okay now and you're less stressed and everything. Bye!
So cute. I can't get over it. First of all, thank you so much for your question. The PMDD is okay. What I've noticed is that when I'm very stressed out, it flares up. So I recently had a pretty bad episode. I haven't had symptoms for a very long time, but I know if I get to a point of like insane distress that it does give me more of a psychological battle right before my period where I'm literally like the world is ending, like it's such a negative loop. So to answer your question, I've had it under control as much as I can, but with the past few months being a little difficult for me, it's been a little harder to manage. But that said, I'll get more into lifestyle. I think there were some other questions about like what I'm doing right now lifestyle wise. That significantly helps, significantly. So thank you for your question.
I wanted to take this time to tell you, you're amazing, you're awesome. Whenever that scandal happened with all that drama, I knew, I feel you, we're besties, we're twins, birthday besties. But I just want to say thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for normalizing mental health. Thank you for normalizing that we're not all perfect in this world. I think you should tell the girlies how to deal with drama, how to prioritize your own mental sanity, because you're really a martyr for that. All love. Thank you so much for being you and keep being you.
So sweet. Thank you for your question. So as it relates to dealing with drama, I don't typically find myself wrapped up in these situations, but yeah, as of recent, that was a thing. I really appreciate you saying that because it was very uncomfortable to go through and experience. I think the best way to deal with drama is to not entertain it. I don't care if people think that makes me look like I don't care, like I'm not standing up for myself. That's not it at all. I think silence is the loudest response. And so in my situation, I had to be confident and comfortable with myself, with my heart. I had to know who the fuck I am. For a minute there, it got a little rocky, but I'm so thankful to have a community like you, friends and family who immediately rushed in to be like, Bria, you need to remember who you are. You need to not let this noise get to you, and we need to figure out how we're gonna tune this out, what we're gonna do to protect your peace at this point. And that's exactly what I did. I did not entertain anyone's opinions about me because I know who I am. And I think with any drama, especially when your integrity is being questioned, you need to be certain about who you are. That's what it is. You don't need to go back and forth with people because it's a waste of your energy. It's a waste of your time because more than likely you're not going to convince them of something. You know what I mean? I don't care to be right in the eyes of anyone. I don't care to have another person think I'm good or whatever, or think I'm bad because I think I'm good. I can sleep with myself at night night. And that's what matters the most. And I know the people who understand me will get that. In the midst of chaos, I saw so many of you rally behind me. And for that, you know, even though it was such a stressful situation, it completely showed me over the last like 5-6 years what I've built here. Because like attracts like, good people mesh with good people. And I'm just super thankful about that. Long story short, drama is not like for you. Let it happen, let them fight air, and you move on with your life and keep protecting your peace in whatever way that means.
So I was just curious if you've ever been on the birth control pill. I recently got off not too long ago in February. I feel amazing after getting off of it. And I was just wondering like what your thoughts on it were. If you were ever on it, do you have any like tips to maybe like decrease bloating and help with weight loss, things like that? If you do have any advice about the birth control pill, getting off of it, then I would appreciate it. I know it's super bad for the body. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Yes, I have been on the birth control pill. It was last year at this time, so I actually have a playlist that talks about coming off the pill, how I prepared to come off of it, and like what I was doing to reduce the inflammation and the bloat and everything. Cannot recommend enough reading the book Beyond the Pill. Jolene Brighton, I think that's her name. She is the guru in terms of how women can take back their health and not rely on the pill. I think the issue with the pill is that it's being tossed at so many women as a quick fix, and not enough doctors are willing to say, why are you feeling so fatigued? Why are you so moody? They're not willing to dig into the root cause. This is why I got off the pill, because I need to fix the root cause. And it's a lot easier said than done. It requires a lot of like patience and time and investing in, you know, certain things. But I would rather do that at my age than for this to progress and I continue to band-aid these issues that I'm having with my body. And so what that's looked like for me is like changing my entire lifestyle. And it's not as difficult as it sounds. I feel like the reward with changing your lifestyle is feeling better. So it doesn't mean like, no, I'm never going to have like a slice of pizza or anything, but it does mean that a majority of the time I am going to treat my body like the temple that it is. I'm going to give it nourishment. I'm going to give it the best possible things. So for example, right now I am basically eating like 90% whole foods. I've never done this before where like I've seriously cut back on takeout because that was really my issue. In my video, I talk about the issue with takeout is like, you know, the sneaky ingredients, the oils they cook it in. You don't know what you're eating. And so when you have these chronic issues, those oils and those processed foods are just causing more flare-ups for you. So it's really just a matter of education. And I wish that this was more talked about, more accessible to women, and I will continue to talk about it myself, but it's a very difficult process. I wouldn't say birth control is inherently bad, but I would say that the lack of information around it is bad, and that we don't know what the long-term effects are because we're kind of still in the guinea pig phase of knowing what birth control does long-term to people. Do your research, and when you go to the doctor, ask them questions. Like you're paying them. If you don't have a doctor that's willing to like work with you and give you information, get a new doctor. I do have like a PCP, OB, all that stuff, but I also have a naturopathic doctor, which in my experience has been a lot better because they're so thorough, because their whole mission is get to the root cause. They typically give only like supplements, vitamins, herbs, natural, holistic options instead of opting straight for prescriptions. But I will do prescriptions as well. I want to make that clear. I'm currently on prescription medicine after I've gone through the process of trying to do things naturally. So do your research, read some books on it. Beyond the Pill, great book, and let me know what your experience is.
Hi Bria, my name is Deshauna and I actually have a YouTube channel called The Fortitude Fix. I started making videos when I was pregnant to document during the pandemic what it was like being pregnant with sickle cell and fibroids. I'm finding that YouTube really only wants to promote certain types of motherhood content, and I'm really interested in your advice about how to continue making videos and getting my videos seen and watched just from a perspective of a woman, a Black woman who is raising 2 Black daughters. I sometimes feel a little discouraged and I would love any advice that you have. Thanks so much, and I hope you're doing well.
Thank you for your question. So I think this applies to like no matter what your genre or what you're doing on YouTube, the algorithm is gonna algorithm, okay? Part of the issue with being a creator is it's sometimes looking into your content, and the other part of it is also appeasing the algorithm. That's why I have a video on my YouTube channel about how I grew from 10 to like 200,000 subscribers in a short amount of time. And I talk about how a lot of my breakthrough came when I started to shake that ass for the algorithm. You kind of have to play the game. When it comes to YouTube specifically, I think it's important right now to lean into short form content. I said this before in my other video, but I will say it again. If a platform comes out with a new feature, you need to use it if you want to grow. If you don't want to grow, then don't worry about it. On YouTube right now, that's currently shorts, and that's also going live streaming. They want you to do both of those things right now. I heard this directly from YouTube, okay? I just was on a brand trip with them. I have talked directly to my partner manager about this. Do those things. It's obviously not what everybody wants to hear, but that's kind of the game you play on these platforms. Now, I will say also another thing to make sure you look into is your own content. Analytics is everything. And I love YouTube analytics because it is so thorough and it's so helpful. Look at your best performing videos. Try to think about why these performed better, and can you make more of that? Can you do spin-offs of those videos that have done well? Can you look at the peak moments in those videos? What did people really go back to hear? What did they like hearing? And how can you create more ideas from your successful content thus far? Look at your click-through rate for your thumbnails. How can you emulate more thumbnails like that and maybe lean more into having a branded look? So it's not just necessarily the platform's fault. We also have to take accountability for what we can do as creators and work on that as well. It's a combination of all of that. Definitely don't get up. I know it's discouraging, but it can take a while to see the traction you want. Keep setting your goal to do better than the last video, and it will pay off.
Hi Bria, it's Nikki. So glad that you're back. Miss your videos, miss your face, and I hope that you're doing really well. A question I had for you was, what is the thing, if there was a thing, that made you realize you need to take a mental health break?
Yes. Thank you for that. When did I realize I needed to take a mental health break? I realized it was time for a break when I didn't want to create. I didn't want to do anything. I had no ideas. But I also think the sign for me was kind of when I started to have this voice in my head tell me that everything is stupid and it doesn't matter. That is not a good sign. And that is so not true. That is definitely a sign that you need to take a step back, take a break. I start looking at all the negatives within, like, oh, I'm not even growing. It doesn't matter how hard I work. And that's so not like me, because you guys know I definitely don't think that way or believe that, but we all have our days and we all get to a point where things get overwhelming. And for me, it scares me to have that little voice in my head because I know that it's not my usual self speaking. And that's why I love this voicemail thing, because I think this is kind of helping me come out of the clouds and realize how special this community is. Hearing your voice, hearing how impactful it is for us to have this connection is like really special to me. So yeah, I would say when you start to notice a change in the way you perceive your job or perceive your work, that is a really good hint that maybe it's time for a break. You could be approaching burnout. For me, I know I'm in a good place when I have so many ideas. I have an abundance of ideas. I wake up and I want to create like first thing. And for me, taking a break, I'm getting back to that place of wanting to create again. So I know like, okay, we're on the right track. But for a while, I didn't want to, honestly. You know, I've been doing this for a long time in social media years, and I've never taken more than like a week break. And I finally took a 6-week break, and it was probably the break I needed for years. My recommendation is to hopefully give yourself those breaks periodically so you don't get to the point of crashing and burning like I did.
Hi Bria, my name is Chrissy, and I wanted to ask, how would you go about trying to make new friends or a couple when you're also someone who struggles a lot with anxiety?
Ooh, good question. So you guys know I'm an anxiety gal myself, also a certified introvert through and through. So I totally get this. I get where you're coming from. Don't even know if I'm the best person to answer this question. Like, that's the thing. I feel like I am terrible at making friends. And the thing is, I really do want to. It's ironic the life you live as a creator, having hundreds of thousands of friends and having a very small circle in real life. But I also think it's kind of helpful because it creates like this odd yin-yang experience that you do need as a creator. But I would say I could make more of an effort to make friends. And a way that you can do that is by doing hobbies that you love, trying new things, look into workout classes, and actually talk to people around you. I am preaching to myself in this. There are so many girls that I see that look so cute in their workout sets, and I want to tell them how much I love their hair or their outfit or something, just like an icebreaker, and I don't because I get really anxious. But maybe we all kind of do that, and maybe we should just be awkward and nervous. Trying to compliment a girl is like literally my version of flirting today. I'm not very good at it, I have to say. I guess just try to make more small talk with people when you have the opportunity. Old people are great at that. My dad is a professional, and it's like a little too much. Like when I took him to Palm Beach, I was like, can you shut up? Love you. Respectfully, Dad. That's just his vibe now. And I'm like, I really should take some notes from him. Like, he makes friends everywhere he goes. He knows the people's names, like at the hotel we're staying at. He asks them the most redundant questions, but like they're buddies. They love to say that, oh, here comes Carlos. So I don't know, maybe my dad should come on and help us with like a friendship episode. But if you guys have tips, please put them in the comments on what you're doing in your 20s, 30s, beyond to make friends, because I think once you're out of school, you're out of college and high school, it really is hard. And we don't give ourselves enough credit to understand that we're all experiencing like that same struggle and issue.
Hey Bria, it's Sam. I want to know, how did you face your fear of being afraid of the camera, like talking in front of people?
So the question is, how did I face my fear of talking in front of the camera? I don't know if there's just something in my brain. I don't have a fear of talking in front of the camera. And the reason I think that this is because for a majority of my life, I was an only child. I already had a YouTube channel when I was 6. I just didn't know. I was making like ramen noodles for nobody. There wasn't even YouTube yet. I was doing this without the camera. So when I finally got the camera, I just felt like my 6-year-old self. I talked to myself an abnormal amount when I was a child because I had no siblings or friends. I don't know. I would create like my own whole world. I mean, yeah, the kids do that. That's healthy. That's fine. But I still do that as an adult. Like, I can have a whole podcast episode in my car. That's why I was able to do a solo podcast for 1 season. But yeah, I can talk your ear off. If you have a fear of talking in front of the camera, maybe start talking to yourself more. Seriously, I know it sounds weird, but I'm a big believer in like manifesting anyways. Like, who else did this? Bretman Rock used to talk about how he would go in the grocery stores and they had the security camera and he would pretend he was on a reality show, and then he got a reality show. It's just like, you gotta know in your head that like it's coming and just pretend it's already a thing. I know it sounds crazy, but as we get older, we get away from that imaginative state, and it's kind of toxic. I think we had more of it figured out as children than we do as adults. We get jaded by the world. We get jaded by the idea of being childlike and having more of a playful mindset. And I think it's actually really powerful to have those things, especially into your adult years. Lean into being a kid more and be okay with being a little weird, because when you're in your bag, like, who gonna say something? Who gonna say something?
I really hope you're doing well. I would just like to know how you overcome imposter syndrome. Currently battling that. I have many goals that I am shooting towards, specifically within the social media realm. I would like to know how you've been recently navigating your obstacles lately, since I know that there has been things you've been battling with silently. How do you get through that, and then also fighting through imposter syndrome?
Yes. So, getting through imposter syndrome and other things, I think you just have to take them head on, to be honest. And when it comes to like imposter syndrome, you have to have healthy delusion. In order to like get to a place you've never been in, take on a role you've never had, take on a job you've never had, a relationship you never had, you need to see yourself in it here first. And I always say that if you can just tap into this mentally, and again, go back to the childlike state of play pretend. Pretend you are that thing already and go ahead and curate your life around that. You don't need to wait to have the thing you want to show up like that. Imposter syndrome is just like faking it till you make it. It's totally okay. There's that one clip on TikTok where they're like, what do you do when you're having a bad day? And Rihanna's like,
pretend.
Literally pretend, because what else are you gonna do?
It's either that or cry myself to sleep. Who wants to do that?
You can stay in bed all day, you could, or you could just pretend and like get a little bit closer to the thing that you want. So it's up to you to decide that. But also I think just normalizing the fact that, do you realize how normal it is to have imposter syndrome? Everyone experiences it. So don't worry about it. Don't be so hard on yourself, and it will eventually go away. It really will. I've experienced imposter syndrome in waves throughout my life, especially around the times that I hit a new milestone. Like I talked about this on my podcast. When I got a new car, I had the worst imposter syndrome because it's the first nice thing I've ever bought for myself since having a stable income and having more money. I've never seen a physical manifestation of my money until I got the car. And when I got the car, I freaked out. That's when my anxiety got so bad and I was like, what was I thinking? I can't do this. I'm not ready. No. Even though I ran it through my financial planner, I ran it through like our tax person, I ran it through everybody, and everyone said, it's fine. You can get the car. And I still was like, no, I can't do this. It's okay. And months later, I can finally tell you, I am whipping that Bronco around like I run the place, because I do. That is my car and it feels like it now, but it took me a while.
Hey Bria, my name's Santana. I'm from London in the UK, huge slay. I just wanted to ask a question on becoming a full-time creator. So this year I am, becoming a full-time creator, which is really, really cool. I've landed some amazing brand deals, but I just wanted to ask you, how was you able to scale from essentially working a traditional job into becoming self-employed? And I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Oh my goodness, I love your accent. Thank you for your question. So scaling from a traditional job to a self-employed position, especially in the creative space, what I did was I had to look at it like this. I was not ready to quit my job when I quit my job. Let's start there. I had no savings. I had enough to pay my bills. I might have saved like half of an extra paycheck when I knew I wanted to quit my job, but I was like paycheck to paycheck. When I knew that I wanted to become self-employed and completely go for this whole content creation thing, this is where the delusion came in. But it was healthy delusion, okay? And creativity and innovation. I had to look at my time as my biggest asset, because it was, at that time, having control of my hours was the most essential thing. So you have to figure out how to maximize your time. Time is honestly like this weird illusion, but when you figure out that you can manipulate time, you can manipulate your money, you can manipulate your lifestyle, you can do so many things with that if you learn how to maximize your time. When I was still in a corporate space, I would have the weekends be my passion project time. That's when I would pour into taking photos, learning about social media. At first, I scaled down to like a part-time position. That gave me half the day to create content. That was amazing. Then from the part-time job, I made the leap to full-time. And when I did full-time, I still didn't have money saved up, but what I did was I figured out, how can I make money in creative ways? You will never convince me that I can't make money. As long as I have feet, I will make money, because I will sell pictures of my feet if I have to. Like, I'll always have money. I will never take steps back in my lifestyle, because I just won't. But the thing is, there's so many ways to make money. You guys, I saw, and I'm not encouraging you to do this, I'm just trying to give you perspective. You need to convince yourself how easy it is to make money, and you will start to get the ideas. I'm telling you. There's a girl on TikTok who sells farts in a jar and she makes bank, okay? I'm just telling you this so you can understand that there's a market for everything. You just need to get creative. At the beginning of my influencing career, I would email these little cute fashion boutiques in Kansas City, and I would say, hey, I'm an influencer. At that time, you had to explain what an influencer was. I'm an influencer. I take pictures, I post them to social media. I have a little bit of an audience, and a lot of them live in Kansas City. If you let me borrow some clothes and you pay X amount of dollars, I will give you the rights to these pictures so you can post them on your social media. And I'll also post on my social media, so we both have a great deal. And at that time, I was charging charging like crumbs for content. It really was a good deal. I got like 3 to 5 of those kinds of clients, and I had enough to pay my bills. And if I didn't have enough to pay my bills, I would DoorDash. I would go get in my car, drive around, and deliver food for a few hours just to kind of make a little bit more money. I'm proud to say AJ never had to cover anything for me. We were living together, we split everything 50-50, and it was important to me that we did because I never wanted him to question that I couldn't do this. So I kept that promise, and no matter what, I always found a way. I just got creative about how I made money, and then the brand deal started to come in, and I was able to slowly shift my strategy. So just think outside of the box when it comes to money, and think, how can you put yourself out there to get the dollar? Don't wait for the dollar to come to you.
Hi, Bria. Are you happy? Are you mentally healthy? Like, how are you doing? Are you taking care of yourself?
Okay, I have a lot of questions asking about how I'm doing. So let's get into that. I love you guys. I love that one too. I just love like your voice. How are you? Really? Like, I love that. Okay, so how am I really doing? I'm okay. Everything that's changed, especially since my break, there is a lot of, I'm not going to cap with you guys. There's a lot of like personal growth happening on the back end and just things that I have to work through after having like a difficult season. I'm okay. And I feel like I'm coming out on the brighter end of that now. This has been a really difficult season and also a very rewarding season. I actually prayed for things in my life that weren't right to be handled. People that shouldn't be in my life, let's fix it. If I'm not on the right track, let's make that very obvious. And that was probably the scariest prayer that I ever did, because I'm not even kidding you, the next day, it was like everything fell apart. I will never say that again unless I'm ready for the smoke, okay? I really felt like I'm never gonna recover from this. And that couldn't be more false. Because of everything that fell apart, I was able to see everything in my life so clearly. I don't know if like that makes sense, but it needed to fall apart to be brought together even stronger. Everything had to be destroyed for me to really receive what I've been praying for. I think they call it growing pains maybe. I'm okay, but it's difficult. And I don't want to sugarcoat that with you guys because I'm human. We all go through these like odd times, and I really feel like there's a lot of beauty that comes out of it. Like when you're able to step out of that situation and look back, I know I'm going to be incredibly grateful for this time in my life, even if it doesn't feel that way yet. I've also gotten on medication for anxiety and depression, and I'm still in the early phases of that, kind of working through side effects. I talk about that more in the video that I referenced where I talk about how I'm doing. If you want to go watch that, it's like 2 videos back. I'm taking the steps. I'm doing what I can, still in therapy, trying to have the healthiest possible lifestyle and control what I can. But I really appreciate you guys asking and checking in on me. I'm doing okay.
So, I'm going to middle school, like, in 8th grade. And I have this one friend who's, like, very toxic, but I just don't know how to, like, end the friendship because, like, I'm too nice to say no. So, how do I end it?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can hear that too well. We have a baby bestie in 8th grade. Hello, baby bestie. I love this. I didn't know minors followed me. If you're a minor, how old are you? Drop your age in the comments. So she has a toxic friend, and she's asking, how can I cut this friend off? That's a good question, and that's difficult. You know what, baby bestie? Sometimes, especially at your age, I don't necessarily want to encourage you to make a drastic cutoff with anyone, because this is a tough age where people are figuring themselves out. You also might have to see this person at school. You may be in activities with them. So if you were an adult, I would say, stop hanging out with a girl, but you probably have to see her, right? Here's what I would say. Start practicing boundaries. If you don't want to do something, if you don't want to hang out with someone, it's okay to say no. And I know it's an awkward age and like you don't want to say no, it's uncomfortable. Learn how to be okay with that. You don't even have to say, let's hang out later. Just be obvious that you're not really interested in spending as much time anymore and occupy your time with other things and other people. And you don't have to be mean. You never have to be a mean girl to get your point across, but you don't have to hang out with people you don't want to hang out with. You also don't have to exclude people. So if this person is within your group, be cordial, be kind, always be that girl, okay? But also don't overextend yourself and be a fake friend. You don't have to invite this girl to a sleepover if you don't want to, unless your mom says so. Overruled. But you have the choice in who you dedicate your time to. Also, it's okay to be honest with your friends. My sister is close to your age, and I've really tried to encourage her to speak up for herself, especially when she sees that mean girl behavior going on, which I find so unacceptable. And one thing I wish I did when I was younger is I wish I called my friends out at that age for being mean girls, for bullying, because I think when you sit back and you let it happen, you're just as guilty. Be the leader, be the one to stand up and say, look, if she's a toxic friend and she's mean to people or whatever it is that she's doing, if you want to maintain the relationship or try to salvage it, why not have a conversation with her and say, look, this is what's bothering me. I want to talk about it with you because our friendship matters to me. But if it doesn't matter to you, I would still maybe let her know how you feel so she has context for why you don't want to hang out as much. I hope that helps, but always remember to be a nice girl. Be a nice girl.
Hey Bria, I am so glad to hear that you're back. I definitely have missed you. You just are someone that really, really inspires me, especially because I started my own YouTube channel recently, and I just love that you don't gatekeep anything. And I've been loving, listening to the podcast, the episodes that are out at least. And anyway, I hope that the break that you had was just well worth it and that you were able to rest and kind of just recover from everything. My question for you is, what are the things that you do when you feel discouraged? Like, is there anything in specific that kind of just helps you reignite your flame and give you motivation to continue on after an episode of feeling really discouraged? Anyway, thank you so much. Bye.
Oh my God, you sound so cute. Okay, so what I do when I'm discouraged, what I've noticed really helps me in those moments is trying new things, novelty. I think what's cool about novelty is you literally make a new neural pathway in your brain when you try something new. And so oftentimes when I'm really down and discouraged, it's I need a new spark of some sort. Some of you may have seen my pottery adventures. I took up a pottery class, and that was probably one of the most therapeutic things I've done in a while, because it's a new thing I've never done before. It's super messy, and I seriously think if you struggle from perfectionism, take a pottery class, because you're gonna get really messy and you're gonna have to be okay with it, and you're probably gonna suck at it at first. So trying something where you give yourself the safe space to do something new, mess up, be imperfect, and it doesn't fucking matter, that's what's amazing. Also, when I'm discouraged, I feel like I really need to tap into just things that I already love. So other things I've been doing to help me get out of my rut are spending time outside. I have gone to the pool literally every day. Do stuff that you love. I love being by the pool. I love being in the sun. I love being out. It doesn't have to be complicated. Those are free things that I can do. It's not complicated. I can go outside, tap in to just doing something that I love, even as simple as just being outdoors.
Hey bestie, I was just calling you to basically ask you about something that I have been struggling with for the past year or so, really ever since I graduated, but the past year and a half just have been emotionally like a war. I feel like it really stems from me just trying to figure out essentially who the hell I am, what my passions are, and then how I can align those things with a career, because I feel like I know some interests of mine, but I've been trying things here and there, and I'm just still trying to figure out how I can just align things. What's some advice that you would give to someone who is just trying to figure it out themselves?
That's a really great question. First, I think you need to realize we're not projects. I think the reason we feel so depressed, anxious, and we have to figure this kind of thing out is because that's the constraints society is putting on you. We've gotten so far away from what we should be doing as humans that we think we're only here to just figure ourselves out. But I think You're here for the journey. You're not here to be figured out. You will never be figured out, because guess what? The second you figure yourself out, you're going to continuously evolve and want to change and want to level up and want to explore other things, because you're multifaceted, and that's the human experience. Being stagnant and being like one thing is not what we're here to do. That's why I struggle myself with, the same thing sometimes, in thinking that I should be doing something when the journey of just being and trying a lot of different things is what you should be doing. I hope that you don't feel like you're supposed to be in a place that you're not. If like right now is a season of like you don't know what you want to do, that's awesome, because that's your cue to go try a bunch of shit. Why don't you, I can tell that you're young, why don't you just like go somewhere, travel, like try different jobs if you're not happy with where you are? You're not boxed into anything. You don't have to be committed to anything. You can literally do whatever you want. And I think we forget that. We can live wherever we want. We could have whatever job we want. We can truly do things that we want to do, but we create these rules in our heads, and that is what keeps us in these low states and keeps us sad and disconnected from ourselves, because we're trying to do something that is not natural for us. So what my bottom line is, I hope that you can give yourself more space and permission to just try things and not be good at them, and figure out what makes you happy. Follow that feeling, and you will figure out the rest of yourself from there when you start to do things that excite you, that make you feel whole, that energize you. If you can like do something and feel those things, those three things, energized, happy, whole, whatever, then you know you're on the right track, and that's all that matters. Don't overthink it.
Hey bestie, my name is Armani, and I was wondering, do you ever feel overwhelmed when you're in stages of transformation, like for the better, and you're doing things that are new and letting go of old habits that don't match the new version that you want to be? Because I feel like I'm in that stage of my life right now. And for example, like keeping myself accountable when I go running every day, it feels overwhelming, and sometimes I want to cry. And I work so hard, and I'm so proud of myself when I do, but it feels like a lot, and it's very pressuring sometimes. So my question is, do you ever feel like that? And if so, what do you do when you feel like that? What do you tell yourself to keep going? And overall, how do you handle it?
Hi Armani. Yes, I do feel overwhelmed, especially in seasons of growth. And I think that's totally normal. Trying new things can be really scary, but it's also super rewarding, and it's a part of the growth experience. Growing never was supposed to feel comfortable. That's why there's something called growing pains. I know it like pertains to like actual your physical body, but growing pains can be applied to any aspect of your life. Anytime you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, it's gonna suck. Your brain wants to protect you from potentially hurting yourself, potentially failing, all these things, right? But those aren't actually like real threats, because in messing up is where you learn and where you grow. And if we celebrated that more as a society and just did away with perfectionism, I think we'd all be a lot happier. You feeling that disconnect with yourself, like even going on runs right now, is a great sign that you're pushing yourself to a new place. I would just make sure that you're doing that obviously in like a healthy way, that you're not overextending yourself. Maybe if it feels like too much of a stretch, scale back a little bit and take a smaller step forward. So for example, if you're going and your goal off the jump is like, I'm gonna run 4 miles a day in X amount of time. Okay, that's a big goal. Why not start with like a mile? Before even a mile, like for me, look, I'm not running a mile for anybody unless I am running from a hyena. So for me, I would probably make a goal to just do a 20-minute walk first and then build from there. So like 20 minutes starts to feel really easy for you. Okay, let's double it. Let's do 40 minutes. Okay, let's double it. Keep adding to your goals. I would just make sure that you're not overshooting it. The mistake I think we make is we do like this all or nothing mindset where we're like, I'm either not gonna run or I'm gonna run 10 miles. We don't let ourselves take those incremental steps. And then a month in, we burn out and we hate running. So make sure that you're doing it in an enjoyable way. Start small, build up, build your endurance. We're using running as an example, but that goes for anything. Also, how can you push yourself to have a little more fun? What helps me do uncomfortable things lately is making it fun. For example, I took a 6-week break off from work for my mental health. Getting back into work was actually really difficult for me. I didn't want to do it. But for example, going to the pool and working has become more enjoyable for me in kind of a way that I can make work fun. So I can answer emails. Why not do it outside? Why not do it by the pool? Why not live a little and have a little bit of fun while I'm working? Who says you have to be cooped up in a cubicle with like the stinky fluorescent lights? It doesn't have to be that way. You could still get work done in other ways. Challenge yourself to find fun ways to do it, and then also take baby steps.
Hey Bria, I love you so much. I'm so happy you are in the creating space. You are amazing. But girl, so I wanted to know what the follow-up was with you having that second phone. Because remember when you said that you had a second phone because you didn't want to be consuming social media so much? And like I felt that because I feel like, it can cause anxiety for myself, and I felt what you were doing with that. But I never knew what the follow-up was. And like, do you only give your family that second phone information? Like, how do you balance that? And like, how is that going for you?
So my flip phone, yes, I'm in my flip phone era. And I will say this, only my parents, my siblings, and AJ have that number. I don't give that number to anyone because it is solely to contact me if I want to turn off my smartphone. I will say I don't do it as much as I should, but when I went on vacation, I had my flip phone, which was great. And also on days when I truly want to power all the way down for mental health reasons, it's wonderful. I only need it though when I leave the house. And the thing is, I haven't left the house much. So I haven't used it as much as I would like to, but I like knowing that I have the option. I like knowing that it's here. I can't recommend it enough. It was literally like $4 extra on my current plan because no one's buying them, and they thought that I was getting it for my grandma. Go get one. It can't hurt. It's a few extra bucks a month on your current plan, and it's wonderful to have the option just so your important people in your life can get to you. I love the flip phone. Okay, besties, I have to wrap it up here. We have so many amazing voicemails, and I'm definitely gonna do more of these. So if you want to send me a voicemail, I will put the link in the description. You can send me a voicemail anytime. Ask questions, whatever you want to talk about, and just be on the lookout on my Instagram stories because I'll usually post like a specific prompt. Like maybe the next voicemails with Bestie B will be about relationships or dating or friendships or career. So just look out so we can do more specific voicemails in the future. This one was obviously a little more generalized. Thank you for submitting your voicemails. I really appreciate it. And if you liked this, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know how you guys have been doing in the comments just because I know that we're still catching up from my break and I'm just so excited to hear from you guys. So I'll see you next week.